Oh, good morning. How you guys doing today? Surviving? It is a Monday after all. Kind of rough. I decided I would have notes so I don't get too sidetracked because that is a bad habit of mine. There's a squirrel somewhere I have to go and chase. Anyway, as we start this morning, let's have another word of prayer. God, thank you for being an amazing Father, an amazing God. Lord, as I speak this morning about the journey that I've had with you, if that is what somebody needs to hear, help them to hear it. If they need to hear something else, then translate so that they hear what you need them to hear this morning. We love you, God. Thank you for loving us. Amen. Sometimes we have this idea in our mind when it comes to a relationship with God. And we have this idea that our testimony has to be this amazing, crazy, God saved me from experience. Well, sorry, that's not how my testimony works. It is more of a journey. It is the ups and downs of life, probably fairly similar to some of you. There's a passage I want to read this morning. It's Psalms 91. So if you want to read that along with me, you are welcome to. And I just want to read it. It's 16 verses. It's not real long. But it says, "Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you say, the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent. For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue Him. I will protect Him, for He acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer Him. I will be with Him in trouble. I will deliver Him and honor Him. With long life I will satisfy Him and show Him my salvation." Sometimes we read that and we make the assumption that everything in life that means is going to be easy. That's not kind of how it works. What he talks about is the eternal side. For me, my story starts pretty early. As a young child, I grew up living in a mobile home. Anybody know what trailer homes look like? Okay, a few people, all right. So not real wide, they're about 8.5 feet wide. And it's this house is kind of up on little pillars. As a 2-year-old, I was in the living room and I wanted something, and my dad told me no. Don't know what it was or why. And so if you've seen mobile homes, you know they're kind of these long things. And in the kitchen, we had these big windows that went like floor to ceiling. And granted, ceiling is all of like 7.5 feet tall, so it's not real high. But it has a lip. It has like a 3-inch lip on it. And so Dad tells me no. And, well, what do you do when one parent says no? You go to the other parent, right? Okay. So I go off flying down from the living room toward the kitchen because that's where my mom was, cleaning the outside of these windows. And it's about a 4-foot drop from the edge of the window down. And for whatever reason, we decided that it would be a really good idea to have this rock bed underneath our kitchen windows. Right. Good life choices. And so I'm hauling off to, whatever I wanted at age 2.5 or whatever. And I go, "Mommy, whee!" Figured out at an early age, I'm a diver. I like landing on my head. I'm really good at it. So I went out the window, bounced off the rocks, boink, And I got up, and I ran around to where the porch is to go back inside the house, and I was still mad because I wanted whatever it is that my dad said I couldn't have. Apparently, it didn't do much damage, although that might explain a few things for you if you were ever wondering. Yes, I did land on my head as a child. Early childhood, not too bad. Don't have a lot of really defined memories from early, save for a couple that are less pleasant. My parents have been married now for 40-something years. Early on, my dad struggled with knowing how to be a father. I remember growing up begging my dad to do things with me, begging him, and he never had time. He was always too busy. As an adult, I've realized, looking back, he felt that his job was to provide, and he was a great provider for our family. Worked years and years working 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. As an adult, I realize the sacrifice that is. Don't realize that as a 5-year-old. Wanting to spend time with my dad and him never having time hurt a lot emotionally. And I didn't realize the level of that hurt until much later in life. My dad didn't go to church. My mom did. And so I went to church every Sabbath, went to Sabbath school, was involved in adventures. Any of you guys do adventures? A couple people. Okay, Pathfinders. Yep. Okay, did all through Master Guide. Heavily involved in church stuff. Everybody at church, there's that Joe kid, you know. He's a good kid. He can memorize Bible verses. Anybody do Bible Bowl? Okay, a few people did Bible Bowl. All right. It's Quiz Bowl, just with Bible stuff. Memorized entire chapters of the Bible so I could win. Notice I memorized chapters of the Bible so I could win. Had nothing to do with the relationship with God. Because you can be in the right places, you can be put in the right situations, but if you don't care in your heart, it doesn't really matter. Somewhere in middle school, exactly where I couldn't tell you. Well, okay, I guess I should say this first. When we talk about God, we always compare God to a loving father. Okay? I realize now my dad loved me a lot. Didn't really realize that at 10, 11 years old. All I knew is Dad didn't have time. And now the people at church are saying, oh yeah, God's this loving father. I'm like, so he's an absentee parent? Okay, that's cool. Why do I need another absentee parent in my life? You know, God, I'm probably okay without you. So the door's over there. Don't let it hit you too hard on the way out. Probably 11, 12 years old. You know, it's interesting. When you tell God, I want nothing to do with you, God respects your request. Says, God, I don't want you in my life. Don't interfere in my life. Leave me alone. I'll still go to church. I'll still smile. I'll still say the memory verses for Sabbath school. I'll still look like this nice little person. But I don't want you in my life. And God respects that. But he doesn't leave you. So catch that. You may tell God, I don't want you involved in my life, and he will respect that decision that you've made. But he does not leave you. When you tell God to get out of your life, it can be kind of a dark place. That idea of depression sets in. The question of whether or not it is worth continuing on with life. And that time between 12 and 16, that 4-year gap, was not a good place in my life. Contemplated whether or not it was worth living. Got pretty close. And realized the thing that I was looking for more than anything else was love. Because as I gave God an opportunity to speak. I was asking him why. Anybody ever asked that question? Why, God? God, why are you letting this happen? God, why this? And so as I sat there and I asked that question, I only got one response. I love you. Okay, God, that's not the question. I didn't ask you if you loved me. I want to know why this person is being taken out of my life. I want to know why this person is taken out of my life. I want to know why I love you. I always have, and I always will. Yeah, but God, that's cool, but that's not what I asked you. No, I love you. I always have, and I always will. And so that was one of those defined moments in that period. Despite God saying that to me, I still didn't want him in my life, and I still ignored him. Sophomore year of high school, kind of interesting. I love history. Some of you have figured that out if you've taken a history class, right? I teach history, probably because I like it. Read the worst history book I have ever read in my entire life. Now, to understand that, I read people's doctoral essays because I enjoy it. Most of you are like, I would rather do anything. I'd rather watch paint dry than read this. I'm like, ooh, this is really cool. Read the worst textbook, history book I have ever read in my entire life. But at the end of it, and I guess you have to also understand high school me, there was nothing I was afraid of. There was nothing I backed down from. Okay, so you're 6'10". I will score on you. I will beat you. Try me. Oops, I win. Not really somebody who backs down. Still kind of have that mentality, all right? Some people run from confrontation. I run at confrontation. End of the history book, there is this like 2-sentence challenge that changed everything. It says, people today don't have the guts to ask God to point out what needs to change in their lives. Excuse me, don't have the guts to do what? Obviously, you don't know me. I have the guts to do anything. Bring it. Okay, God, point it out. I dare you. Yeah, so when you challenge God to point out things in your life that need to change, guess what? He's going to point out things in your life that need to be changed, and he's going to keep that pressure on you until you make said change. Didn't realize just how many things I needed to get fixed from ages 12 through 16. But I found out over the next 3 years, hey, that person you lied to, you need to go talk to them. Dude, they don't even know I lied to. You need to go talk to them now. But they don't know. Do it. Okay. Kind of rough sometimes. But the end is worth it. The end is worth it. After that point, started to work on that, developing a relationship with God, a little bit more active, intentional about why I was doing these things. Went to church for me, not because Mom said I had to. Then I move and head off to college, go to Andrews University. First time in my life I am surrounded by everybody who's Adventist. I go and interviewed for a job working at a health club, and had my spiel ready about Sabbath, and they're like, yeah, I know about you Adventists, that's fine, you don't have to work on Saturday. Wait, what? I didn't have to answer questions about being a cult to get Sabbath off? Wow, that's weird. Sometimes the devil tries to trip us up by getting us comfortable. And for me, college was comfortable. Didn't have to test my faith. Didn't have to push. And didn't realize until the summer of 2006 just how far away from God I had drifted while being in the middle of being the dorm pastor and being involved in Passion Play and all these other campus activities. Got caught up in the busyness of doing good things, but missed on the relationship part. I've worked at camp. Some of you know I've worked at camp now for a very long time. Summer of 2006 was my 5th summer working at a camp in Michigan. It was not a good summer. put it that way. When I left camp at the end of the summer, I used a few choice words at the gate to say, I will never, ever, 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 ever come back and work at camp again. I'm done. God laughed. Fall of 2006 was a difficult semester, hardest semester I've had at school. Anybody had a teacher that walks in saying, you're going to fail? Yeah, that was my professor that year, my senior research class. So it's already going to be a heavy class. And for the first 3 months of the semester, every day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. You might as well give up now. This individual prided himself in being hard and having people fail and drop his class. That was his thing. I had a class earlier with him where he spent a 50-minute lecture telling us why his name should be Dr. Slayer because of the number of grades and careers he had slayed. Yep. And now I'm in a class with 5 other people. You're going to fail. And I just came off a summer where camp had always been a place where I was like, okay, there's my connection back to God, right? Sometimes we have those places in our life that's like, this is where I remember why I'm here. I remember why God is here. These are those little mountaintops that we try to retreat to. And that summer of 2006, my retreat back to God turned into anything but a retreat. And now I'm in this class with this professor. I slept on average 3 hours a night because I still was working 40 hours a week to try to pay for college. So I worked, did my other responsibilities, went to class, and then went back to my room at night and started working on my research. And I would do research till 4 o'clock in the morning, go to bed, get up at 7:30, go to class. Mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, just spent. Get to the end of the semester, shockingly, I did not fail. And an A-. Yeah, I'm going to fail, right? Okay. Credibility shot. But at that point, still, why God? In November, I think it was November of that semester, I got a call from Terry Dodge. She was the Pathfinder Director for the Michigan Conference. When I had been in high school, I had gone on this mission trip, pretty similar to our Philippines trip, except this one was to the Dominican Republic, medical, dental, and optical clinics. And Pastor Dodge calls me up, and he says, hey, I need another adult to go on this mission trip over Christmas. Are you available? I'm in the middle of the worst semester I've ever had. I am completely exhausted. I have nothing left in my emotional tank. In my spiritual tank has been dead for a year. Wanted to say no way. No. I need my Christmas break, dude. You don't understand. But I decided, why not? So I go to the Dominican Republic over Christmas. We fly out like Christmas Day, head down there. 2 weeks of doing medical and dental and optical work in areas where some people have never seen a dentist or a doctor in their entire life. And they're in their 60s. People who don't know, haven't had the opportunity to find out that when you dump boiling water on your child's foot, they need to go see the doctor because the third-degree burns that are over 90% of the foot will become infected if it's not cleaned and taken care of. Yeah, true story. Except she didn't dump it, the kid pulled it off the stove. But anyway. When you go on these kinds of things, you are forced to think about somebody other than you. Because you get up in the morning and it's not, oh, here I go again, I got to go to that class. Oh, here I go again, I got to go to work. Oh, here I got to go do this, here I got to go do that. It's, oh, we're going to go help these people. Began to shift It's funny, sometimes we get so inwardly focused we forget about God. And that mission trip was a turning point. Because as I sat there and I triaged people, because my job was to sit there in the medical area, and as people came in, figure out what their complaint was. I learned more Spanish in 10 days triaging medical stuff in the Dominican Republic than I learned in the semester plus of trying to take Spanish and getting the only D I've ever gotten in my entire life. Those of you who can speak Spanish, you're amazing. I've tried, I failed. Those of you struggling with Spanish, I understand. So this mission trip forced me to refocus, change the perspective, take attention off of me and refocus. Got back to school second semester. I don't remember much about it. It was a pretty good semester, I guess, overall. But I got another phone call that was kind of odd. While I had worked in Michigan, I had worked with this pastor who liked to write plays by the name of David Yeagley. Some of you might know who Pastor Dave is. Pastor Dave had come out to be the youth director in Washington, I think in 2005. Didn't think anything of it. And in February, I had decided at that point I needed to go back to camp one more summer because Andrews did a matching scholarship, and it was fiscally intelligent for me to go and do this. That was my only reason I was going to go and do one more summer of camp. And so Pastor Dave calls in like February. So I get this random 253 number. I'm like, what is this 253? I don't know where 253 is. All right, well, whatever. I answer the phone. I was over in a friend's dorm room. Hey, this is Pastor Dave. Okay, cool. What's your point? Hey, have you ever thought about coming and working out at Sunset Lake out in Washington? No. Why would I think about that? I'm in Michigan. My family lives in Michigan. I don't have any family really that are outside of the Detroit and Flint area. I'm the oddball who likes to go. All right. Everybody else in my family is like, yay, let's be within 20 miles of home. Okay. I'm like, no, what's over there? Squirrel. And so I tell Pastor Dave something that I have never said about camp before or since. I says, well, I'll think about it, but you're going to have to pay me. I figure, well, that's going to short circuit that, right? Okay. So I spent a lot of time praying that semester. Decided, okay, let's give this a shot. I've never been to Washington. It sounds like a great place to go and visit. I like traveling, so this will be a great opportunity. It's my last summer. I'm only going to do it once anyhow, right? So summer 2007, I end up out here in Washington at Sunset Lake Youth Camp. And Pastor Dave did figure out a way to put me somewhere between the pay scales, okay? I'm the assistant director now, so I kind of know how the pay scales work. I was not in the pay scale where I was supposed to be. So he did pay me more. That summer of 2007 did as much as any other summer to change my spiritual walk. Being in an environment where every day you are intentional about where's my relationship with God. How am I going to show Jesus to the kids? I'm going to go drive on the banana boat. They called me the evil banana boat driver. I don't know why. I'm such a nice person. Yeah. That summer, I spent my time saying, how do I show Jesus? Well, here's this thing about showing Jesus to somebody else. If he's not in here, you can't show him out there. Right? If he's not here, you can't show him out there. You can try and fail. So this is, well, I really want to show Jesus to these kids. This is really important. Okay, Jesus, start working in me again. I'm going to be intentional on the daily basis because I want you in here. Worked at camp for a couple more years, finished college, and moved to Lincoln, Nebraska. Why in the world would you move to Lincoln, Nebraska? I was duped. My college roommate was teaching at Union College, and he says to me, hey, you should come move out here. We can be roommates again. It'd be great. And it's pretty, and it's cheap. What he meant is it's pretty cheap, because that's what Nebraska has going for it. It is inexpensive to live there. It is flat. There is more topography on the campus of Auburn Adventist Academy than there is in the entire state. They're like, oh, there's this great river. It's 3 inches deep. You call that a river? I grew up in Michigan. We have lakes all over the place. It's all a bunch of glacial lakes everywhere. They're like, oh, yeah, we've got this lake, and it's like Holmes Lake or something like that. I'm like, okay. It's man-made. No kidding. Come to find out, there are no natural lakes in the entire state. Okay. So I live in Nebraska, moved to Nebraska after I finished college. Well, it takes a little while for your teaching license to transfer. Didn't realize that. So I moved to Nebraska in August, and Lincoln Public Schools finishes clearing my license and background screening and everything else in December. So if you're good at math, which I am not, that's about 4 months. Kind of need a job. First time in my life I haven't been able to find a job quickly. I started working when I was 12. Had a job, started paying taxes, whatever. And from 12 till whatever I was, 25? I don't know, something like that, 26. I've never not had a job. I have always had at least one, often more than one job. I moved to Lincoln, Nebraska, and I can't find a job anywhere. What the heck? Well, there goes the savings account. Nice to know you. Funny, when the savings account runs out, they don't stop sending you the bill. You still need to pay rent. Yes, that's right. And electricity. Okay. How do you pay the bills when you have $0 in your bank account? When you look in the little app thing and it says 0, and you need $150 to cover your expenses for the rest of the month. Well, God provides. Hey, there's this family, they need somebody to spend the night. There's an older gentleman, he's on hospice, but he needs somebody there at night for 12 hours, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., just to be there in case he needs to go to the bathroom or whatever. Anybody know what CNA stuff is? Okay, a few people. Okay, that's what it was. And it was a temporary thing. 3 nights, we'll give you $150. Funny, I needed $150 that month. Okay, cool. Now it's the next month. Got a job in November working for the YMCA. Brand new YMCA was opening in November, so I was able to start working then. But you still had to pay the bills at the end of October. And I'm $200 short. How do I get $200? It's due tomorrow. There is no jobs paying me $200 when I need this tomorrow. Check the mail, and there's a card in the mail addressed to me. And now, throughout this whole time, I am way too proud to ask for help. That's a pride issue that I have. I would rather starve to death than ask for help. Because there are people that were willing to help. They never knew where I was at financially because I didn't tell anybody. I told God. That was about it. I picked the church that I was going to attend because they did potluck every week. Yep, Piedmont Park. Yep. I got really good at eating 79-cent pasta because you could get 2 meals out of it. for 79 cents. And no, we don't put anything on it because that would cost way too much to buy sauce to put on your pasta. 79 cents. It's a good deal. Get this card in the mail. And it was from a kid that I had worked with when I was in Pathfinders eons ago. Helped this kid through some stuff, I guess. And the note in it said, I don't know why, but I felt really, really impressed that you needed this money. Here's $200, take it and don't be a jerk about it. Because they knew I had kind of the mindset of sending it back, but I happened to need $200 the next day. God provides. Never the way we think we should be provided for, but he always provides. Got married in June of 2015. It was 4 years this last June. Same time, sent an application for the second time to the Washington Conference because they lost the first one, a resume. Came down to Auburn and a school down in California. Two choices, two great options, great schools, great administrations, conferences to work for. But it's a big decision, moving across the country. I'm still living in Nebraska. My wife who we've been married all of like a month, has a good job here in Nebraska. Do we uproot and go across the country? Or do we stay where it's comfortable? We decided we were gonna take one of these two jobs, and it happens in a whirlwind, okay? In the space of like 2 weeks, it's a Skype interview. It's here, we're gonna fly you here. Oh no, here we're gonna fly you here. Here we're gonna do this. Here we're gonna do that. And it's back and forth, and it's insane. And it's now Friday night. I did a visit at the California school Monday through like Wednesday morning. Came up here Wednesday afternoon through Thursday evening. Into Friday. Friday night, I'm sitting at Sunset Lake saying I have an hour to make a decision. I have to give them a decision by 6 p.m. It's now 5:55. I need to make a decision. I don't know what to do. God, you're not giving me an answer. Learned that sometimes there's not a wrong answer with God. Sometimes he says, here's two great options, pick one. Yeah, but God, I want your option. No, I created you to choose. I didn't create a robot. If I wanted a robot, I'd have robots. No, I created you to have choice. So you choose. 5:55, I took one of the Sunset Lake dinner plates. Some of you guys have seen those. I says, okay, here it is. Face up, I'm going to Auburn. Face down, I'm going to California. I threw it over my head and said to my buddy Alex, is it up or down? Where am I going? Oh, it's up. I'm headed to Auburn. Now let me go make a couple of phone calls. Yeah. And I haven't regretted it. Although sometimes in class I think twice, as you people talk incessantly, but not really. Relationship with God is about a journey. And there are ups and there are downs within relationship. And much like any other relationship that you may have, whether it's with a friend, whether it is with a significant other, whether it is with a family member, the only way that relationship is successful is if you invest time. Our relationship with God is the exact same way. When you invest time into that relationship, it is always worth it. It does not mean that it will always be easy. Please understand that. Relationship with God does not mean it will always be easy. God and I were in a really good place when I got to Nebraska, and then I didn't find a job for 4 months. Learned how to rely on God. The difficulties that we experience in life build our faith. And much like exercise, if you work out, you know that there's some discomfort that happens, right? Anybody out here work out, exercise a little bit, okay? Go put some time in the gym. It's going to hurt. It's going to be a little bit tender, but it's worth it because it builds. And it's the same with our relationship with God. God will allow difficulties to come into life. But it's because when we go through and we get through and we get on the other side of that difficulty, we can look back, wow, I don't worry about making my bills because I know I can trust God to provide because he has. Because he answered that prayer that I didn't know I was praying as a 12, 13-year-old. Because I love you. I always have and I always will. Because what you need in your life is me. And yeah, there might be some challenges. But I'm the dad who isn't going to be an absentee parent. I'm the God who wants to walk beside you. Not keeping you from difficulty, but walking with you through difficulty. And so my challenge to you today, make God your daily priority. Walk that journey with God, and you will not be sorry. Pray with me. God, thank you for being the God that we need, the God who provides even when we don't realize what it is that we need. Lord, I ask that you would bless each of these students throughout the rest of this day, through the rest of this week, in all of their classes. Give them the courage to ask and to follow through with keeping you in their life. Because I know if they do, they'll never regret it. Thank you for being an awesome Father. In your name, amen.